Please welcome Corey Perlman.
Thank you very much. I'll leave this mic here in case we have questions. Don't roll off. How's it going, everybody? Good morning. Bright and early. Appreciate you all being here. It means a lot. I know this is day 3, last day of the conference, and it's freezing cold outside. And you chose to be here with me, which I really appreciate. And so my commitment back to you guys is I'll give you everything I got up here today. And if there's certain questions that you all have about certain sites, my flight doesn't leave until 2:30 this afternoon, so I'll meet you out in the hallway there. We'll have some conversations. You can come up here and see me, but I'm yours until I got to get out of here at like 12:30 or so. So I live in Atlanta. I've been all over the country the last week here. So I was in, actually, North America. I was in Edmonton, which was -30. So it's like, 10 degrees out today, but -30 is totally different feel. But then I was just out in California, which was like 60 degrees. So I'm destined to get a cold at some point here. But so what I'm really about and what my book's about and kind of what my mantra is don't be a jack of all social media sites, master of none. Instead, I want you to focus on a few and do those really well. Double down on the sites where your customers and prospects are. I was talking to my friend here, and he was saying that Instagram and Facebook is the environment for him, and I asked him about Snapchat, and he said he's playing around on it a little bit, and I completely agree with that. You may want to lower the priority on sites like that if your customer base is generally on Instagram or Facebook. The reason I came up with this is because I had somebody in the audience just like you guys, and if you guys are standing up, there's seats up front here. I'm not Gallagher. I won't hit you with watermelons or anything like that. You can come on up. I'm gentle. But there was a guy sitting in my audience, and I started actually talking about, he ran up to me, and he asked me if to teach him how to syndicate his Twitter feed on his website. And I said, I'd be happy to show you how to do that. Tell me the business that you're in. And he said, I sell medical supplies to the elderly. And we kind of had this sort of moment where we kind of looked at each other, and I said, and I kind of looked at him, he looked at me, and he goes, do I even need to be on Twitter? And I said, I don't think you do. I don't think the elderly, by quotations, are actually on Twitter, or at least they weren't at that time, and I think you should focus on other places. And he just had this great grin on his face that he could sort of skip back and know that there's one site that he doesn't have to be on. So he kind of made this sound when he first came up here that I've been trying to replicate over time, and I finally found it, so I'm going to play it for you guys really quick. But this is what he sounded like. So if that's how you feel about social media and all the different sites, the shiny new penny syndrome and all that, you're in the right place. I'm going to really talk to you about focusing and doubling down on a few that I think that you guys should be spending time on. And then for now, you're able to ignore the rest. So keep it simple. Number 1, best practice, if you're taking notes, don't be a jack of all social media sites, master of none. Really boil it down to the few that mean the most to your business. Now, let me just say really quickly before I get started here, certain challenges that you guys are having with social media right now. General common things that you walked in here saying, man, I got this burning question. Anybody have a question or two that you came in here with that you want to make sure gets answered today?
Just making sure you're on the right social media sites.
Okay, the right social media sites, prioritize. What else? Yes, sir?
The value of it.
The value of it. Yeah, okay, fair.
What's the preferred maybe privacy settings, and do you accept all friend requests?
Okay. Privacy settings, do you accept all friend requests, like on Facebook, things of that nature?
Yeah.
Okay. Anything else? Okay. Yep. Yes?
What's the right content you should be putting out? Like if you're selling a technical product, you put technical detail out, or do you try to sell it as it's significant to the customer?
So, and that's a question I want to almost use as an example. Yes, go ahead.
I just add on to that. Do you also want to do personal, not necessarily really personal, but more casual things to kind of draw people in and let them know that you're real and human like they are?
Yeah, humanize the brand, right? So, yes.
Mine was about as far as when to know, we post a lot, when to know when to boost and how much to boost, how much money to spend, what's a good practice there on when a post is worthy of being boosted.
Okay. Couple really good questions right there, and just in case, does everybody else have that kind of question? Yes? All right, let me answer those really quickly for you. So as far as the product specs versus humanizing the brand, how do you guys feel in general when you see posts of other brands? Do you like seeing technical specs and things of that nature, or do you like seeing when brands are transparent and human, generally speaking? Human? Yeah. Human. Be human. That's the whole exciting thing about social media, is the opportunity for you to humanize your brand. So I think it's good to have a mix, but I would definitely add in transparency and fun, right? Especially on some of the sites like Facebook and Instagram, right? You can't always be geared toward specs and technical information. So, when somebody's celebrating an anniversary, within the company, when somebody just had a baby, or you guys had a product launch and you're celebrating, maybe you're having a holiday party or whatever, those type of things are great, to post on social media. That's a big part of it. So your inclination, probably yours too, to mix in some of the human nature of the brand, especially on sites like Facebook and Instagram, 100% agree. As far as, did you say content? No, you're asking about boosting posts. When it comes to boosting posts, when we're talking about a holiday party, I wouldn't boost that. So just so everybody's clear, Facebook went and changed the game on all of us. So if you have 1,000 fans and you try to post something on Facebook, only about 10% have a chance to see it. And that sucks, but that's the way it is. Okay, oh dang, I'm being recorded. That sucks. I gotta keep my, so what we have to do instead is pay to play, right? So when he says boost post, that means that literally spend money with Facebook to get our message out to our audience. So the question is, when do we do that? So what our company does, now everything I talked to you guys about up here, I have an agency that we do this for, and the way we work is when we do a more of a personal, social, fun post, we don't boost that. But when you have a new product launch, or something that is very meaningful with the brand, or something that you really do need to get out there, that's when I promote. So we hold back on the majority of the posts, and so if we post, say, 10 times a week or 10 times a month, depending upon what you're doing, only about 2 or 3 of those will get boosted. The good news is it can anywhere be between $10 a post all the way to maybe $100 a post. So if you've got a couple $100 budget per month, you can use that obviously to boost posts and get it to a larger audience. Does that kind of answer your question? All right. If you guys want to, there's still some seats in here. I hate to make you stand in the hallway there. You're more than welcome to come in here. We'll make some room for you here if you want to come in. By the way, some of you might see a handout, but not in your lap. I am so out of handouts. I had no idea that we'd have such a great crowd today. So I'll email you the handout, and I'll email you this presentation for you too. So just make sure you leave me a business card of some kind, even if it's on a piece of paper with an email address, and I'll make sure you get everything. So really quickly, and we only have an hour together, I want to leave you for some opportunity for some questions, so I'm going to go through this super fast, but from a prioritization standpoint, Facebook is the behemoth, right? We've kind of come full circle. For a while, people were kind of concerned that it was becoming a little passé, and Instagram and Snapchat were taking loyalty, but statistics are showing that Facebook's actually growing in numbers. The younger generation is on there. They're also obviously on Instagram and Snapchat, but they're completely different platforms to Facebook. So bottom line is, it is still the 1,000-pound gorilla, and I could sit here and sort of ask you questions, but we don't have time for that. I'm basically going to say, I do think that's a major priority for your industry as I was doing my research. Twitter is a great information site. The way I feel about Twitter is, in order for that to be super effective for your brand, you need to have personal communication on there. You need to have somebody on there communicating with your fans. And if you don't have the bandwidth to do that, that may not be as strong a platform for you. All right, so you just have to think about that. If that one is like a little bit of a fledgling social media site for you, you're not sure why you're not seeing as many results, it's because you're not there to communicate with your fans. And it's just, that's the type of environment where conversations happen, okay? But it is a great place for you to retweet celebrities that promote your brands, or to gain great information from, curation of content. People love to be smart on Twitter, so it's great to be out there and pull content so that you can share it on your other networks. Pinterest, low on the totem pole probably for you. Very image-heavy site, but 80% female. Great kind of a hobby site for weddings, things of that nature. But as far as I'm concerned, I don't think you have to worry about it too much. YouTube, great environment for you guys. Video, obviously, owned by Google. Some of you may or may not know that. It's also the second largest search engine in the world behind Google, and Google owns YouTube. So they're at number 1 and 2 on the search engine rankings. So great environment for you to show off products, show off the racing cars, things of that nature. LinkedIn, I wouldn't say a big environment for you. I'm a huge LinkedIn fan for the majority of my industries that I talk to, but in your case, I would lower it on the totem pole. It's a B2B network, and you're more of a consumer network. Instagram, I would be huge on. So Facebook 1, Instagram 2, as far as I'm concerned. Very visual site. The millennials are there. That's where they're spending the most time right now. Anybody 33, 35 and under are heavy on Instagram, but again, it's a visual site, and let me just remind you that is a user-driven site. What I mean is, on a Facebook page, you might be the majority of posting, but on Instagram, what you want is you actually want your users posting alongside you or with your hashtag or with your brand, right? So if you have them taking pictures of your products and cars and things of that nature and sharing it to their page, and using hashtags or @ to connect with you, that's really the way to get your products and your brand out there. So just write down, if you're kind of figuring out Instagram, that is a user-generated platform, not a business-generated platform, meaning that they post just as much as you guys do. Does that make sense? Whereas Facebook, you're more the generator generally. And then Google Plus, remember when Google came out with their social network? Dead on arrival, DOA, man. You can cross that one out, all right? Now, Google, of course, from a search perspective, still very important. But again, from a priority standpoint, in my humble opinion, Facebook, Instagram, 1, 2, you agree? You said that earlier. YouTube, I think, is a great environment for you. And of course, your website, which I don't have up here yet, but I want to remind you guys of one thing. Of all these sites, which of these, when you have a platform on it, do you own? None of them. Your website, do you own your website? Yes, you do. That's why, to me, it's so important. Don't lose that. Don't lose that thought. It's really important that you have an environment where you are investing and spending time, because you never know when the rules are going to change or when sites are going to go up and down. But websites, those are yours. That's an asset that you own. Very important. Snapchat, I'm not going to spend a lot of time on it today, and we talked about it early. Is it an environment where you eventually could have some opportunities there? Yes, but the age group is still so young that I would prefer you prioritize Facebook, Instagram, YouTube today than spend too much time on Snapchat. You might plant your flag there and start to understand it and learn about it a little bit more, but like he said, it's a site where things disappear over time. That's part of the fun and the coolness of it for the young folks out there, but that's a challenge for businesses. So I would say you can lower that on the priority today, but just keep in mind, watch it, because it is growing leaps and bounds with the extremely young market, okay, like the Generation Z. I don't know where they're going to go from there, but millennials, I still would say on Instagram. Any questions about just demographics in general on social media before we move on? Is that helpful in terms of prioritizing where you want to spend your time? Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, you guys, anyone disagree on that? Anyone have any other thoughts, or is that kind of the area that you want to be in? Good? You're shaking your head. Any other thoughts? Going once? Going twice? Okay. YouTube first. Okay, I'm okay with that. You like YouTube with the video? Well, who said that?
Me right here.
Get out of here. No, you're wrong. No, just kidding. No, tell me why. Like, give me an example.
Giant vibrators for metal finishing, and most people have no idea what it is I do. I can't make a vibrator.
He needed to clarify. It's fine. Let's go ahead and acknowledge that in the room. I got it. I'm with you. I had my coffee. It's cool, man.
When you explain it, you tell them to watch the video. It's the next best thing to get them into the shop.
Yes. All right. So, not to go down a rabbit hole too much, but I think this is important. I think video, and what you're really saying is video is extremely important in your business, and I kind of think it is in all of your businesses. So let me say a couple things on video. YouTube is great, but we got to expand our horizons on video, because all the platforms are going on video, right? Facebook is huge on video right now. Facebook Live, which I'm going to talk. I'm totally stealing my thunder, but hey, who cares? We'll just skip it down the road. 1 second, I'll get your question. 1 second. So Facebook Live is the opportunity for you to go live, actually have your phone up and hit the live button. And the really cool thing about Facebook Live is Facebook's pushing it hard. So if I'm him and I'm saying, I'm really wanting to get this message out to my audience, where will I go first? I'd probably go to Facebook Live before I'd go to YouTube today. And the other cool thing about Facebook Live is it does record it for you, so it becomes a place that you can go back to over and over again. Now, does that mean I would ignore YouTube? Of course not, but I would start to think about how I incorporate Facebook Live in with YouTube as well. Question or a comment in the back?
We just recently started using Facebook Live, and it has explained a ton about our business, and we get a lot of views. I think like our first one was 10,000, maybe sounds like a little, but compared to what the numbers were before, it's huge. And then I don't know if everybody else knows, but we discovered, because we have a fan page, not just a profile, but there's an app called Page Manager where you can actually Facebook Live right from your page.
Great point. So yeah, great clarification. I'm going to say it on the microphone. I'll go back to you. Is that you used to in the beginning, you could only Facebook Live from a personal profile. It's like your page or my page. Now they've allowed pages, business pages, to actually go live from the page as well. So that's great. Do you have anything else to add? Or?
No, just that it's just been an incredible tool for our company.
I appreciate you saying that. I couldn't agree more. And and the bottom line is Facebook is pushing it. So when you go live, they are literally banging the doors down of all of your people that you're connected to and saying, hey, Stephanie or ABC Company is live, because they want to push that. They want to beat up YouTube. They're competing hard in that area.
Yeah.
There is now. It's literally like on your app and such, you can hit the video button and search through all the different videos that have recently been posted from your brands.
So I just want to mention that if anyone's not familiar with the Facebook algorithm, that videos get prioritized over regular posts.
Yeah, and again, you're talking specifically on Facebook though, right?
That's specific to Facebook.
Yeah, and again, you ask yourself why. It's because they're pushing it right now. So it doesn't mean that's going to be ongoing or that's going to be a steadfast rule. But we are doubling down in our company on Facebook Live right now because it's what Facebook's doubling down on. Yes?
Does this pretty much mean like Periscope's dead? Like don't even...
Oh yeah. I mean,
I don't use it anymore.
yeah.
Like somebody's like, why didn't you use that? I'm like, I'm on Facebook Live. I can show all my fans starting their engine now.
Yes, yeah. In my opinion, I mean, I'm being probably a little dramatic. Periscope's not technically dead, but yeah, I mean, we are all about Facebook Live, and we've completely removed ourselves from Periscope, which is another video site that was gaining a lot of ground before Facebook came and squashed it. Sorry?
Facebook Live, is that just for your followers, or is that for everybody?
It starts out with your followers, but other people beyond just the people that are connected to you can see the video and interact with you on it. Yeah.
I noticed that when we go live, or if I'm looking for something live, if I go to that button, it gives me a list of, first, on the top row, there is like all of my friends' live things, but then there's a huge list of things that may pertain to me.
Exactly.
that I can watch.
Right. So again, you think of so what she's saying is there's the opportunity for you to see videos outside of your personal network. And again, think about Facebook's brain with all of this. They're wanting you to expand beyond just the people that you're connected to. All right, so prioritize the sites that your prospects and customers frequent most. So we've kind of organized a good deal here, which is good. One of you over here mentioned results. So I really quickly just want to share this slide with you. It's a very important slide to me because if you're not seeing one of these results with any digital strategy that you're using, I would suggest reconsidering using that strategy. So number one is generating leads. So that's actually driving traffic either into your stores, into your locations, into your businesses, onto your website, whatever the case may be. But that's just the first part. The other layers are equally important and often ignored. The second layer is building credibility. So the question is, when people are kicking your tires online, what are they seeing? I know you guys have amazing products out there that you're showing off, but when people go online, are they seeing the same amazingness that they see physically? So that means fans, so if you are planted your flag on a site? Do you have the amount of fans that you should have for that site? And people often ask, obviously, what's that amount? It depends on the size of your business. But you know the places that you go and something hasn't been posted to for years, it's got very few fans, that's diminishing credibility. Website, which we're going to talk about in just a minute, but don't have any holes in your digital footprint. So if there's any places that you guys a while ago jumped on and you've completely ignored, I want you to make a decision there. Either start managing it or get rid of it, and that's totally okay. But don't let it die or sit there on the vine and not update it, because it could actually be hurting your business. Stay top of mind. So this is another result and why we do this. Somebody may have found us or may have become interested in us in January, but they may not be ready to do business with us until July. So how do we stay top of mind? Well, if we can get them as a follower, a fan, a connection of some kind, we can stay on their radar through good content via our social networks. So just be aware of that it's not just about getting them today, but it's about producing good content, being a utility to your prospects and customers so that when they are ready to buy, they buy from you. Okay, so that's top of mind. Driving people to your sweet spot is just a reminder that wherever your place is to do business in is still that, even with social media. So if it's at your physical location, then you want to make sure that when you're talking to people on social media, you're still pulling them or pushing them towards your location. Okay, if it's e-commerce and it's on your website, then that's your sweet spot. But don't try to sell them on Facebook if the majority of your customers buy when they come into your shop. Okay, it's still here, you're just driving more people here. Last two are strengthening relationships. So this is where you asked about personal connections on Facebook. If you've got people that you do business with on an ongoing basis, connecting with them on the different social networks may be a good opportunity for you. Don't let the only time your customers hear from you be at invoice time. Make sure that, and in the olden days it was the phone, right? Or a handwritten letter or a tablet or whatever the case may be. But nowadays, it can be a social media connection as well. Doesn't mean it substitutes for face-to-face or phone, but gosh, if I have a buyer that is buying from me year in and year out, and I have the opportunity to Facebook friend them, why wouldn't I? I can see when they're celebrating birthdays and when they're struggling with a family member, impacted by cancer or something like that. I have the opportunity to really be a part of that person, which I think is really important in growing relationships, which is what business is all about. And then lastly, earning referrals, the holy grail. If you guys are getting champion customers being advocates for your business, then you want to get them posting online. So I often say, never let a verbal testimonial go unwritten. And there may be grammatical terrible flaws in that statement, but you get the point. If somebody shakes your hand and says, man, great experience with you guys, I want you leading them towards the environments that you're using on the web to post that so it lives forever and that prospects can see that. When prospects see buying signals and testimonials, that sells them. So if you're on Yelp or Google Local or even a Facebook review and people are using the words that mean something to buyers, that's going to sell them more than anything you can say yourself. Does that make sense? So have your advocates posting for you on social media. Real quick, don't wind up on websitesthatsuck.com. That's an actual real website, by the way, and that's actually a real website. You actually can wind up on websitesthatsuck.com, which they rank the worst websites in the world. And so what I did was I did some research on you guys. Dan sent me all your sites, and I'm going to show you what I would consider the worst website in the group today. I'm just kidding. I would not do that to you. So I'll make sure you're paying attention. I would never do that to you. I would have a very short career in the speaking business if I did that. But what I will do is just give you guys a couple things to think about with your website today, 2017 and beyond, not 5 years ago, but today, that you need to be thinking about for your websites in 2017. So a couple of things. 5 website pitfalls. Image pollution, which is just too much. And in your industry, that's a challenge because you have lots of parts, lots of supplies, lots of cool things to show on your site. But if you overdo it, you make my head spin, frustrate me, and make me leave to your competition. Critical information not above the fold. You're missing your forest phrase. Make me use more than my thumb and no opt-in bots. So I'm going to share all of these with you right now. That's image pollution. Okay, you get it. See, people laughed, giggled when you don't want people laughing or giggling at your website. That's not the reaction we're looking for. Okay, so keep it simple. Nowadays, you can use WordPress themes that are super easy to use, and it's kind of like when you walk into a house and you know the living room's there, you know where the bedrooms are, you know the bathroom's off to the right. It's just commonplace for how websites are supposed to look. And in our business, in this industry, you don't need to be too cute. Okay, so these common modern WordPress themes for your website, if you're going for a refresh this year, don't let your web designer go outside the box. It's unnecessary. Use a common WordPress theme with nice rotating images, whatever. You'll see a couple examples here in just a minute, where everybody knows where they're going. That's what you want to be able to do on a website, okay? This is an example, this is probably, I would say, like a 2015 theme, whatever the case may be, but you get it. You have the links up at the top, you've got the nice looking image that might rotate, you've got the boxes down here, it's just people are used to this common type of a theme on websites. You have a question?
What's your opinion on like a Flash type media?
Yeah, I would not use Flash. I did notice one of the sites was using Flash. Mac doesn't play well with others, Apple. So you need to be careful with using too many plugins that can frustrate different platforms. So Flash is typically not recommended. Okay. So a couple of things on there, and this is where I want you guys to think for a second. So I mentioned critical information above the fold. Let me explain that. So when I go to your site, what is a common visitor looking for when they go to your site? I want you guys to write that down and think about it for a second. So 95% of the people that come to your website, what are they looking for? And when you have something, raise your hand. Your contact information. Is that everybody in agreement with that? Okay. Same thing. Pricing. Okay.
Services.
Your services. Sorry, I didn't hear where that voice came. Yep. Services.
Picture of the specific part.
Picture of the specific part. Now again, that might be on a page inside, right? But maybe on the home page, it might be one of your most popular products or whatever the case may be, right?
Why they want to buy from you.
Yeah, why they want to buy from you. Maybe a value proposition, a differentiator statement, what I call your force phrase, which we'll talk about in just a second. Those are all good. Those are all perfect. That's spot on. The question is that information available to me without having to scroll on your website? So what I want you guys to do, an action I want you to take from this today, is to think about those 3 or 4 things people said, and I want you to go to your site and see if you can find it. The common mistakes I see are phone numbers missing or too small. Okay, a value statement not being there. So I go to your site, I have no idea. Are you a car dealership? Are you, a racing team? What do you do? And not in your head, but in your consumer's head, what you do. Okay, an obvious button for your services. If you're a physical location, hours of operation, the obvious clear things, and make it so easy to see that no matter if I'm on a screen that big or a device this small, I can see it without a problem. Okay, do the 3-second test. If you see it in 3 seconds, you're good. If you have to hunt for it, I want you guys to work with your web designer to fix that. Again, this is an accountant's website. What you will not see is any phone number information. That's one of the number one things people look for on that site. That just reiterates you got to do that.
That's just too many words too, isn't it?
Yeah, that's another issue. This is kind of a dated site itself, but right. We're in the ADD generation, so paragraphs are being replaced by bullets. And really content's being replaced by images. Now there needs to be some content because people do like to read, but you got to, less is more. To their point. Here's a good example of, I like this contact information up above here. Again, do you guys see the modernness of this site to some degree? It looks decent. It doesn't have to wow you. It doesn't have to blow your socks off, but you get it, And I do like the fact that the contact information is so very clear here. Commercial tires here. They've got their ability to be able to shop for products right here without a problem. I want to mention the social media icons. I like seeing social media icons, but only if you're managing those sites. There's nothing worse than leading someone to a Pinterest page that you're not even managing. Why would you do that? Right? Don't you want them to stay on your site? So the only way I want you to take them away from your site is if you're going to an environment like Facebook where you got, almost 1 million likes on a particular product and you're building social credibility there. Okay? And the only other best practice there, and write this down, is if you're going to open up a new window like a social network, open it in a new window, not the existing window. So that if somebody clicks off of it, they go back to your site. Make sense? Open in a new window. All right? Let's see. Okay, your forest phrase. So this is what I want you guys to write down. I want you to just kind of pretend for a second that somebody is Googling looking for you. They don't know who you are. They don't know your brand name. They're looking for you or a service that you provide or a product that you provide. What are they typing into Google? What are they typing into Google, generally speaking? Anybody have an idea for their business? Yes?
Methy 3 computer.
What?
Methy 3 computer.
Methy 3 computer, so a specific product. Okay.
Performance upgrade.
Performance upgrade. More specific though, right?
Yeah.
Like what?
Mazda performance upgrade.
There we go. Mazda performance upgrades. Yes, that's it. Now in your case, would it be geographical dependent? Do they need to be near you?
No.
Okay. Then you wouldn't have that in there. Somebody else? Yes?
Drag race practice trade.
What?
Drag race practice trade.
Drag race practice
Trade.
tree. Is that what you said?
Yes.
What does that mean?
Drag race practice tree.
I wouldn't know. Clearly I don't. Everybody else does. Fine. Well, we'll move on then. Does it need to be geographical? Do you need to be near it? Okay. Okay. Cool. Sounds great. Count me in. Anybody else? Yes.
Racing apparel and drag race apparel.
Racing apparel and drag race apparel. Yeah. Let me ask you something about apparel. What do you guys think of the word apparel? Is that what people type in? Broad? What do they type in? Clothing? Okay. Huh?
I like the word gear.
Gear?
Driver's suit.
Yep. Good. So, the point to this is, I want you to figure out what your forest phrase is. The common phrase that you believe, and you can test this, that most people are searching for or looking for to get to you. And then I want you to make that information obvious to the visitor when they visit your website. A common mistake I see is no forest phrase. And when I say forest, it needs to be so simple that even Forrest Gump could understand it. Okay, don't overcomplicate it. Make it simple. It's good for the searcher, the visitor who's checking you out, but it's also good for the search engine because they're looking for those words and that's how they rank you. So you're doing double duty here. You're doing a good job for me, the visitor, and you're doing a good job for the search engine. So just an example, a quick one that I found, I just looked at this site and felt like, gosh, they really were clear to me on what they do. They're Impala parts, all Impalas all the time. They got their phone number up here. They got Impala down here. There's no doubt for me, and probably for Google, that when it comes to Impala parts, I'm in the right place. Okay? Again, could it be stronger? Sure. But it's a start, right? So I want you guys to visit your sites and just be absolutely clear to the layman, to the person that's not super sophisticated and knows every little detail about your company, that they know how to find you and where you're located if you're geographically connected somewhere. And last but not least on websites is mobile responsive. And this is as easy as I'm going to make it for you. When you guys leave here, I want you to visit your sites on your phone. And I want you to be able to navigate the site easily without moving your 4 fingers. That's it, right? That's how people search now. If you make me do this, that's passé, man. That's 2014. Yeah. All right? So hold these 4 fingers here and navigate. Be able to use, and in your case, be able to use that search for inventory. And if you can't, work with your designer, if you have one, to become more mobile friendly. Or if you don't have one, here's an example that I found. where again, it was fairly easy to be able to navigate with my thumb. It may not be perfect, but fairly easy. But there's a site called Upwork.com that you can write down. It's a freelance site. I don't get anything for you using it or anything like that. I'm not hawking anything here, but I just share with you things that I use, and I like Upwork. And you can find mobile responsive website designers that can work with you here. And here's my recommendation. Look at the work that they've done on mobile sites. If you like it and you're like, oh wow, that looks great, go to your phone and you see a site that person did on your phone and it looks awesome, then work with them. If you don't think that they can all of a sudden come up with it for you. It will be a negative relationship, okay? So that's a place that you can get a mobile responsive site done if you want. Just check it on time. All right, and I said last but not least, but I do have one more thing for you. ABCE, write that down. Always be collecting email addresses. So when somebody visits your site, and I won't forget about you, man. Just finish this thought and I'll answer your question. Always be collecting email addresses. So I don't want people visiting your site and leaving without giving you some sort of contact information so that you can take charge of that relationship. How do you do that? Well, gosh, that's the $1 million question. In my industry, a lot of it is with good content. If there's something that, if they're in research mode and you can give them a piece of content to help them on their research, they'll give you their information for that. If it's a discount, something to that effect. Did you have a question? And then I'll get to you.
Yeah, just pertaining to the mobile website.
Yep.
Is it important to cater more to, left-hand users versus right-hand users, have more menus on the right side or the left side, or does that not matter?
Never gotten that question before. The question is, should you cater to left-hand users or right-hand users? I guess I would just say right-hand, in terms of the probability that it's a right-handed person, but I've never really, I don't know if there's a way to switch that to know if somebody's left-handed or not, but I would just say probably.
They're getting bigger and bigger, and if all the menus are on the left, it's like.
Yeah, I mean, I would definitely say that typically people are probably, doing this, but a lot of times they're vertical, so it really probably wouldn't matter if you're using your left hand or your right hand because it's sort of down the center of the screen like you saw in that last one. You see how it was kind of more like that? 1 second. Oh, the lady in the back of the room, did you have a comment on the?
It was kind of along, you kind of answered it.
Okay.
A website that's not,
Go ahead.
a website that's not mobile friendly but does well in search, do you recommend like a be mobilized to convert? To have a separate site?
No, so I would definitely not recommend having a separate mobile site at this point. Google's smart enough to know now that, and the different browsers, that when somebody goes to a site, it can change and it not impact your search engine ranking. So one site, the browser knows the type of device that you're on and it fits it accordingly.
So we're mainly an online-only business.
Okay.
We've been working really hard at all this. We keep track of how Google ranks us. I don't do the sales and marketing specifically, but I talk to people that do. Recently, Google switched prioritizing your website and search engines from desktop to mobile.
Yep.
So your mobile capability is now more important than your desktop capability.
It's 100% accurate. And again, let me just reiterate that it basically means that, a year or two ago, I would encourage you to make sure that you are super mobile friendly and mobile responsive. Now I'm demanding it because your search engine rankings are being impacted by it. So if your site is stale and you make me have to squeeze my fingers in, Google says, well, that's not good to my customer, the searcher. I'm going to send them to competition who's got a sweet looking mobile site because it's better for my customer, in Google's terms, the searcher, right? Okay, did I hear somebody else make a comment? Yes?
I have a question about the slide. How do you prompt or entice someone to give you their email?
Yeah, so the question is, how do you prompt or get somebody to give you their information? Again, if you have to think about what their needs are, all right? So if in your industry, like I said, it could be a discount code of some kind. It could be some sort of value that you can give them. In my field, and I'll give you that, the 6 things to build your fan base up on Facebook or something, right? So I might email you that report in exchange for your email address. So some sort of value-rich content. Again, discounts have worked in certain industries. Is anybody, collecting information? A newsletter, thank you. Yeah, that's a great one. So using an ongoing newsletter and reminding them of the value put in that newsletter. Anybody else, best practice wise?
We have a membership program.
Membership program, some sort of exclusivity type thing. If you get into the membership, you can get certain things off, things of that nature. That's another way. Yep. And of course, a social connection. So if you can't get their email address, but you can connect with them on Facebook or have them become an Instagram follower is one other way to be able to stay on their radar. Okay, a couple of things here. How many of you, before I even go into this, does it matter for physical location, Google ranking, you're a brick and mortar business that people come to by raise of hand? Okay, we are going to completely skip that section. The one thing I will say though is, because this is with everything, is, well, let me ask by raise of hand, how many of you get reviews about your business? Raise your hand. Okay, half of you. So be aware, be proactive on reviews, wherever they are, whether they're on Google, whether they're on Yelp, whether they're on Facebook, whether they're on another site. A question I'm always asked about reviews is, should you respond, especially if they're negative? And the answer would be yes. But be diplomatic, because I know they can be downright nasty. This review in particular told the business owner that not only was his services terrible, but he also hates puppies, which was totally off topic, but it just goes to show you that people are just mean sometimes. But I want you to be diplomatic, because you can turn a critic into a champion. You just need to a lot of times they just need to be heard. I know it's tough. I know that we are in a world right now where people like to spew hateful words at you behind their keyboard, and there's nothing you can do about it. But engaging in a fight is no good for your business. Instead, you try to fix the problem, and if you can't fix it, then just ignore it and move on.
And the diplomatic part of it, there's on TripAdvisor, you'll see many reviews on hotels, and it makes a huge difference, at least to me, and I think other people, when the manager gets on and says, I'm really sorry about this, we'll try to make your stay a lot better. What can we do to earn your business, that type of thing. It's just, it does make a difference.
There are actually studies to validate what you just said too. Comcast, they did a whole study on Comcast, and that their customer service scores have gone up, not because their customer service has gone up, but just in the fact that they are communicating better with that. So you're spot on that. Authenticity, that's the word that people really kind of use a lot with that. And just a reminder to you guys, I'm always a little behind on time, so we'll kind of move here, but people are more motivated to review a business or person when they're unhappy than when they're happy. So I want you to encourage happy customers to review you, okay? Because they're not going to do it on their own. And you need to tell them the environments where you want them to do it. So if Facebook's the place that you're building it, do it there. If, Google Local or Yelp or wherever. Do I see a question over here? Yes, sir.
Do you boost the reviews? In other words, a review comes out, do you boost that?
That's a good question. Do you boost a review? I might do that. We don't tend to do, I take that back. We do. When we get not a specific review, but a testimonial, we'll put it behind a really cool background. I'm going to give you a resource here that just popped in my head that I use a lot, called Canva, canva.com. Thanks, man. canva.com. It's a free site, and the reason I bring that up is they'll give you a bunch of graphics that you can put words on top of. So it might be like a nice looking graphic that you want to use, and then you can put the quote. Obviously get the permission from the person. And then if you post that on your site, if you want to boost that, I'd be okay with that. Maybe a $20 or $30 boost or something like that. Yeah. All right. When to ask for reviews at time of service, when they receive the product. Basically, all that says is right away, because their enthusiasm bar goes down very quickly the longer you wait. A couple Facebook best practices. Don't let your page look too dusty. Make sure you got a rhythm going with posting. A question I'm asked a lot is, how often should you post? I mentioned earlier, only about 10% of people are seeing it, so you got to post frequently, okay? Daily, couple times a day. Do not worry about overdoing it, because people generally aren't seeing it. So that's part of the challenge. So you don't have to worry too much about overdoing it. The only challenge with overdoing it is cluster posting, meaning that you post like 10 things at one time, and that it clogs up people's news feed. That can frustrate them. Yes.
I have two things. One question, do you want to change like your profile picture often? Or is that what people recognize and remember how to get back to your page?
Okay. I would say no. I wouldn't. What we do, we tend to not change the little icon page. Guys, hear what you're saying, because there's kind of a brand consistency.
Right.
We do the timeline photo though. We do that a lot. Yeah. So that's just the for those of you wondering, the profile picture, the smaller little cutout, kind of keep the sign, but there's a big background photo that Facebook uses now, and we rotate that quite a bit.
And then the other comment was, or actually the question, my 15-year-old daughter seems to think that if you post between a certain time of day, then it gets more likes. What is that time frame?
So the question is about time of day, and there's been, you can go on Google right now and you'll see 25 conflicting studies on time and posting. So the answer to that question is we do it all kinds of different times a day. So we do it in the morning, we do it at night, we do it on the weekends, and in your business, the weekends may be a big point, and then we test. And it's super easy to test and see. So in every industry, it's different. So you guys need to play with it and see what happens in your industry.
You can use that 10% analytics.
1 second.
You can use the analytics on your page to see when the people.
Exactly. That's what I mean. Yeah. Yep. So he's saying you can use the analytics on your page to see when your fan base is online the most. So you can use your page insights. I see a hand back there. Yeah.
You were talking about your 10%, and only 10% see. How do you know what 10% that is, or how is that determined?
It's all in Facebook's algorithm. It's based also upon how often. It's usually that 10% is the people that play with your page the most or interact with your page the most. Is typically Facebook's just trying to get the posts into the feeds of people that matter most. So if they're not looking or engaging your posts, then chances of them seeing would be diminished.
On that 10%, but if they go to your page, if they're not in the 10%, but if they periodically check your page, they would see.
That, yes, correct. If they go to your page, is the 10% is the ones that go into your feed,
Okay.
people that visit your site, yes.
If you have something that you know is only getting 10%, would you share it a few times that week, the same post?
Yeah, question is can you reshare a post? Absolutely, especially if it's one of value or that you want to get a stronger push to. You can absolutely repost to get a better engagement for.
I just didn't know if it would reach a different 10%, or it's still going to go to the same 10% because they visit your page.
That's a good question. I think it would go to a little bit of a different 10%. Just
I don't want to share it, just go on the same.
no, it probably wouldn't go to the same. I think you'd be okay on that. Let me give you a couple more things and then we'll wrap up. Just real important stuff. Content strategy. You guys asked about that earlier. Humanize your brand. Be helpful. Indirectly sell. What I mean by indirectly sell is testimonials, before and after, case studies. You can just talk about your clients or your customers, and that indirectly sells your value. Go local if you have any type of local community. People love local information. And the last one's my favorite. It's called newsjacking. And that is just picking up things that are happening in the news and using that through, through your brand. Now, of course, don't do things like politics. That would not be a good idea or not a good example of that. But if, there's a big race going on, whatever in your community or in your, tribe that is meaningful right now, find a way to use that in your content because that's what people are interested in right now. It's called newsjacking. We use it all the time and to great success. One thing I do want to mention to you guys that we're doing a lot that's helping a lot from a top of mind strategy is called remarketing. And that's simply if somebody, and those of you who sell products online, this is huge for you guys, you can drop a pixel on their computer or whatever the case may be when they visit your website so that when they go back to their Facebook page, ads start running about your products. You see Amazon does that to you all the time, right? So you searched for pliers on Amazon and then you're on Facebook and all of a sudden, oh my gosh, there's a pliers ad there, right? You can do that too when they go to your website. It's called remarketing. We do that for our clients to great success, keeping you guys top of mind. And then another one that we like a lot is called lookalike audience. So if you have an email database, this is really cool. You can give that to Facebook and they'll actually help you develop an audience to advertise to that have the same demographics as your email list. Does that make sense? Pretty cool. They have interests, things of that nature. We already talked about Facebook Live and the power behind it. A couple best practices there for you. When people can comment on your Facebook Live videos, so name them by name, they like that. But you got to do it often. If I were you guys and you thought, look, 2017 is going to be the year of Facebook Live for us, I would do it on a weekly basis or a monthly basis and promote it ahead of time. We're going to showcase a product. We're going to showcase, a spokesperson or a driver or something like that, but something ongoing that you can do to build an audience, build a tribe on your Facebook Live.
Do you have suggestions on content? Like, are there like definitely things you don't want to put out on Facebook Live and things you really want to highlight?
Not necessarily because it's so new. I would just say think value, be again a resource or a utility to people. Don't go out there just hawking your stuff or all about me. Just try to think about the frequently asked questions, the things that they care about, and be a resource to them to the extent that you can. And be different. There's a lot of noise out on Facebook. So what I would do is I'd go back to your business. I'd get in a group of all the people and I would brainstorm and come up with ideas and cross them out and come up with the one that you guys think will work best and go with that. Okay? Yes?
If you're running a weekly program, track scripted, is it a good idea to go live, like say every Thursday evening?
Absolutely. That's the best time. Live events, live things going on, it is the greatest thing for live that you can do. Yeah, 100%. Yep. Couple things on Instagram just to remember, some best practices. We love these signs that we use. These I get them from crowdsigns.com, but they're like little cutouts. And so you can just remind people that when they're interacting either with your products or at an event of some kind, that they can post to Instagram, and you've even done the legwork for them because you can create the content that you want to be put out there. So that's a really cool resource for you guys. You can advertise. If you get comfortable advertising on Facebook, you'll be comfortable advertising on Instagram because Facebook owns Instagram and their platforms are extremely similar and easy to cross-brand. So, and you can be an early adopter on Instagram because not a ton of businesses are boosting and advertising on Instagram. And last but not least, I just want to show you guys my little secret sauce to content. We create either one article a week or a month, so one piece of value ongoing for yourselves, either a week or per month, and then we shoot it out to all of our different social platforms. So the common mistake I think that businesses make is they try to develop different content on each platform, and that's just way overcomplicating things. Instead, what we do is we try to create the best piece of value we possibly can and then syndicate it in different ways on the different platforms. The example of that would be a written article works really well on maybe like LinkedIn or email marketing, but it would work terrible on Instagram. So what we would do is we would take that written article and turn it into an infographic. It's got to be visual. Okay, so if it was the 5, ways to whatever, then we would create a really nice graphic that showed those 5 ways, and we post that to Instagram. Or I'd go to Facebook and I'd use this article as a, what's the word I'm looking for? Script to create a Facebook Live, right? So that value that I did on Monday for the article for my email piece became my Facebook Live video on Thursday. Point being, use one piece of content and syndicate the heck out of it, because your Facebook Live viewer is not your email subscriber, and your email subscriber is not your Instagram follower. So you can regurgitate this content in different ways and save yourselves a heck of a lot of time. Winners in the digital marketing space are producers, not perfectionists. You gotta just keep doing this stuff. Those type A's, super everything has to be in perfect order, are terrible on social media. That's bad. Don't do that. In summary, fish where the fish are. Okay, like we talked about earlier, prioritize your sites. Fix your website. If you have a stale website, you're doing it wrong. Don't get bent out of shape over slow results. That's just general. Creativity wins on Facebook. So we talked about this is the way I used to cook hot dogs at FSU at Florida State because we spent a lot of time doing that kind of stuff. So just be creative on Facebook. And if you want to find millennials, plant your flag on Instagram. And don't overcomplicate content marketing, syndicate, like I just said before. So this is my information. So I don't love you and leave you guys. That's my website, that's my email address, that's my phone number. I've been traveling for 12 days and I've kept all of these books just for you guys in my suitcase. So I would appreciate if you take them with you. They're $20. I take cash and I'll take credit. Just got to give me a second to turn my computer on here. And I'll sign it for you. And let's see, how are we doing? I think we did really well on time. It is 8:57, so with the last 3 minutes, who has the first question that I haven't answered already?
Does Twitter have that same issue with the percentage of followers that would see your content?
No, a totally different platform, Twitter. So if you have 1,000 followers and you tweet, it'll show up to all of them. The challenge is they have to be able to be on their device at that time to see it. Rules?
Well, rules, but can you go into your page and they can actually sort of run it for you?
Correct. So for contests, if you do it through the walls of Facebook, then you know you're abiding by their rules, which is good. So yeah, that's a good thing to do. And just be a little careful. Obviously, it's very easy to be able to see the guidelines that they have for rules and such. And if you're kind of a small fish in a big pond, then you don't have too much to worry about anyway. But I think contests are great though. Behind you, yeah, go ahead.
We're trying real hard to start pushing social media, but we have a community newsletter newspaper, and we just purchased a machine that's going to broaden our horizons. How hard do we push it on that newspaper?
Hard. But I would say value first, push it second. So find a way to give something to your subscribers. That's what we like to do. So some sort of value. And then it's kind of like a funnel, and then funneling them into seeing the product. But I always try to think utility first. Yes?
What do you think about paying influencers?
Paying what?
Influencers, like people that are doing something in the industry.
That's a good question. Influencers, paying influencers. I don't mind it necessarily. I don't have much experience in it, candidly, to tell you if I have any. We haven't done that in our agency, things of that nature. But I get it, especially in your industry. I've done SEMA, I've done, and then KTM Motorcycles. They do that a lot with their influencers and such. So I get it, and I'm totally okay with it. Some people ask me about buying lists. I'm not the biggest fan of buying lists, but I do understand it. Things of that nature. Yes.
On a Facebook fan page, should you try to stay away from trying to monetize a fan page?
Should you try to stay away from monetizing a fan page? Not necessarily, but that goes back to your sweet spot. I wouldn't try to, unless you have a shopping place on your page that you're actually selling products. If your website is your e-commerce platform, then you do want to push them there. If getting them to your store or to your physical environment is where you want them to be, then you want to push them there. So I would say value, promote. Value, promote. That's typically our rhythm. So of the 4 pieces of information, 3 are value, 1 is promote. Hey, I've had a really good time with you guys. You guys are an awesome audience. I thank you so much. I'll be here to answer questions, sign some books for you, but thank you guys again very much.